طيب، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. So this is just to wrap up this picture, it's not misogynistic and it's just real. It's like women go through different stages in their life and then their month. And so it's about part of being a man is that part of being a heterosexual man, part of being a real heterosexual man is that you deal with it. Like, you know, there's these different stages of a woman's month, of a woman's life. And so you're there to support and not be childish and not get offended for no reason, things get totally out of control, that's something else. But like, generally speaking, right? And so that's the heterosexual, right? And so there are many men who are either what's it called? AI sexual, meaning like you would only work with an AI girlfriend, unfortunately, and that's unfortunately reality that's been for a long time, meaning pornography and these kind of things. Like in your mind, there's this image of what women are, and that's just not what women are at all, right? And so you're actually not really heterosexual, or you basically want somebody to be straight, right? So you want this person who's like, I say A, B, and C, and she understands A, B, and C, right? So that's called a homosexual, right? That's how men. That's how men function. So you can't, if you want to be like that, that's called go and find an AI girlfriend, go and find go and marry a man, a'udhu billah, right? But whereas this is the dunya, this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made things, you know. And so we have to understand many people this totally off. So I advise people, Sheikh, we talked last week about Sheikh Abdullah, what's his name? Odoro, his name? He talks a lot about these things like mistakes in the way, like you don't understand how women think, you don't understand what women are going through. And this is what makes a real man and actually a real attractive man, right? That you are understanding and you're capacious enough and you're magnanimous enough to deal with these things in a mature way, not to take things too personally. Okay, so minimum menstrual period is a day and a night. So if it lasts less than 24 hours, meaning in total, then it's not considered a period. So if for example, it was on and off for 3 days, but in those 3 days, it was a minimum of 24 hours, or was on and off for a week, and in that 1 week, right, it was a total of 24 hours, that's fine. It's considered a period, right? Generally lasts for 6 days or 7 days, and the maximum period is 15 days. So if she goes over 15 days, she needs to go and ask a scholar, what do I do? As opposed to she felt sick, her period came early, it went way more than normal. She's never had an 8-day period in her life. This is so weird. She's never had a 10-day period in her life, right? There was a shock. Something happened to her, and now her period went to 12 days. She's like, oh, I have to ask a sheikh. No, you don't. As long as it doesn't go beyond 15 days, you're fine. Like, if it becomes suddenly things have changed, that doesn't matter, right? The minimum interval of purity between two menstruations is 15 days. So once you've had a period and the period has ended, you cannot have another period until 15 days passes. Generally, it lasts 23 to 24 days, right? And there is no maximum limit to the number of days between two menstruations. So here's this lady. I'm sorry for going on tangent, but it is important. Here's this lady, her period is all over the place, and she's trying to memorize Quran. She's trying to manage her masters. She's trying to get the next stage in her career. She's looking at like sunnah prayers, whatever it is in her life. Sister, your health is quite important. Guaranteed your business, your marriage, your ibadah is going to be better if you try and find out what's happening wrong with your period. Right? There's a brother the other day, he's talking to me, he's like, he's having these health issues. And I'm just telling him, like, bro, like your health issues are part of your deen. It's not something else, right? It's not something else. It's like, yeah, I have like psychological issues and I take medication, but I'm just focusing on memorizing Bukhari. Habibi, like your emotional stability and your physical stability is part of your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So like work on it, make sure it's okay, make sure it's all, and don't just don't just do whatever, right? So there's a sister that's like, yeah, it's all okay. As long as I can work, it's okay. As long as I'm not actually getting a divorce, it's all okay. Like as long as people don't notice, it's okay. It's not true, sister. Your period is all over the place. Your emotions are all over the place. Go and sit down with a doctor. Find out with another doctor. Many doctors don't care, not interested because the allopathic medicine, they don't really care about this stuff. They're like, yeah, you're not dying, it's all right. Whereas like you might need to drastically change your diet, change your sleep. There's a lot of these issues, right? A lot of women are suffering because of these things, and it causes huge problems to the people around them. And it messes their life up. So prioritizing, like, make sure, like, look after your womb, right? Look after your womb, look after this thing, make sure it's working. And you're gonna find things how you can't just ignore it because it's not part of fiqh. It is part of fiqh. This is part of deen, part of your relationship with Allah, and the part of your responsibility to look after yourself, right? Can't just eat trash and just expect your body to work fine. It's not going to work like that. Okay, the minimum postnatal bleeding is a single discharge. So she gave birth and there was just 1 hour of bleeding, 1 day of bleeding. That's fine. That's considered a period, postnatal bleeding. Generally, it lasts 40 days and the maximum period is 60 days. So that does not mean that she has 40 days off. If the bleeding stops at 36 days and a half, she has a ghusl, she starts praying. If it lasts for 45 days, 50 days, fine. But you don't go beyond, if it lasts for a week, whatever it is, right? So you go to however many days it is. Once it gets to 60 days, that's a problem. Now you have to ask a scholar what to do. Okay, makes sense, everybody? Everyone's cool?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okie dokie. So again, I just taught this the other day to somebody else. I'm just confused. Okay, so now with the prayer. So the excuses for delaying the prayer are two. Oh, we just did this in Reliance, didn't we? It's exactly the same. I think we did this in Reliance. I'm super confused, like where that came up. Anyway, when we say an excuse for prayer, we are talking about two concepts. One is in the mahkamah, in front of the judge, in the court, and the other one is before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? One is a court issue, and the other one is a moral issue. So morally speaking, while Musa was asleep, he started insulting me. Is Allah going to ask him on Judgment Day what bad things he said about me while he was asleep?
No,
No,
Sheikh.
No, because you're not responsible for what you do when you're asleep. Okay? So obviously, if you slept through a prayer, you're not responsible. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could choose to punish you. That's fine, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do whatever he wants, right? But logically, you are not morally responsible. You're not actually responsible for something you do while you're asleep. So Allah could choose to punish you for whatever. He could punish you for what somebody else did, right? Allah could do whatever he wants, right? But the system that Allah has put together for us is not like that. He doesn't punish us for things you do while you're asleep. So you slept through a prayer, you are not responsible, right? Forgetfulness, right? I tell you a number, like I forgot whether Muhyiddin was Syrian or Lebanese. Am I sinful for that? Like someone puts a gun to my head and say, tell me, is he Lebanese or is he Syrian? And I say, I can't remember. You have to remember. Well, I can't remember something I can't remember, can I? So for you, the information that it is now currently Dhuhr time and you have to pray Dhuhr is absent. Someone asks you, what's wrong? You're like, nothing's wrong. They're like, there's something wrong, Habibi. And you're like, I don't know what you're referring to. You've forgotten that it's Dhuhr time and you've forgotten that you haven't prayed Dhuhr, right? So you always pray Dhuhr before you drop your kids off, and this time you did it afterwards. And in your mind, you always pray Dhuhr at home, and then you drop your kids off, and that's it. Now you're sitting there, and the Adhan of Asr goes on your phone. You're like, oh my God, I forgot that I didn't actually pray Dhuhr, right? Happens, right? You're in a different place, different time, right? Yeah, I don't know. So what is the test with the AI to find out if he's AI or not? T800, is it? I have no idea. Here's a good question. Here's a question. What if it turns out that this is the Truman Show? Like you don't even exist. You guys are all AI agents, okay? All my students online do not exist. This question, like there's AI questions. Every single question I answer online, right? Like it took me ages. One of these questions came in as a basic answer similar to this, and I'm trying to find it, or I can't remember where it was. Trying to find it in Shabra Malisi about covering during intercourse, right? And I knew it was from Shabra Malisi. I looked in this place, looked in that place, different chapters. So what if I'm talking to AI right now? Does it matter? Like Musa, he's messaged me. He's actually a robot. Like he's like, there's messages between me and him, talking about this, talking about that, care and concern, but actually I'm just talking to a robot. Like nothing. Does it actually matter? You all know the Truman Show, right?
Does it matter in
Yeah.
what context?
So here's the thing, right? A robot AI comes up to me, please, sir, give me some money. And I give charity to this kid who's actually not an orphan, it's actually a robot. Does it matter? Like I'm gonna die and I'm gonna meet Allah. And in reality, in respect to me, everything around me is just an app. Because my interaction was not with people, was with Allah. So in reality, it's very useful to think about these things, right? Let's say Salah, for example, he's always saying racial slurs about me. Hey, milkshake, right? He sends me whatever kind of things. And if I think of him as a person, I'm like, I hate that guy, whatever. He's like, he asked me, and then it's like, hang on a minute. Salah is just an AI app that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to test me. Be cool, calm, collected. It doesn't matter what he said or what he doesn't say, or if it's real or not, because you're not interacting with, you're not interacting with a person, you're interacting with Allah. Okay? I'm talking to ChatGPT and I'm cussing my head off. There's no difference in cussing. I mean, obviously, a slight difference. If I'm insulting somebody, let's say, for example, I'm not insulting somebody, I'm just using cuss words, right? So I'm swearing anyway. The angels are writing anyway, whether there's somebody there or not. My wife says, if you were half a man, you would do this, right? And I'm like, well, if you were half a woman, you would do this. And I'm like, bro, it's just an app. It's just an app. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent you a child who did this, a wife who did that, a husband that did this, a boss that did that. It's just a AI. That's the reality of it. And then behind the AI is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of these things, like whether they're real or not, it's like, yeah, I mean, they're not really that real. My son said that, mashallah, may Allah protect him. He was like 5. He said, everything besides Allah is not really real, is it? Like that's true, right? Allah is al-haq. Everything else is just a AI, artificial intelligence, right? But you're going to be answered for how you interacted with these things. That's all. Right? So life is like the man, that man in Bani Israel with the 3 men from Bani Israel with the what's it called? With the angels that came to them and gave them anything they want. That you guys know the story? Now one of them was bald, one of them was what was it? Like
Yeah,
he couldn't
poor.
right? So they weren't real, right? So then the beggar comes to them and he's like, get out of here, right? It's just AI. It wasn't real. Artificial intelligence, an angel, right? So it's quite a useful thing to think about, this AI thing, right? It's like, what if even the room around me is not real? It's just matrix, And like when I touch something it's not real, I say, yeah, and it's true. Kullu man alayha fan. Every single thing in front of you is disappearing. Unplug, all goes. And then you're dealing with Allah. That's a very useful thing to do. Think about everybody around you. So that doesn't mean you should be callous and cold, but let's think about the orphan. The orphan is just an app that's just collecting data from you. That's all it is. It's there to collect data from you. If the money never reached, it doesn't matter. If the child got shot in the head, may Allah protect us, the next minute, like you fed the child and the child smiles and then died the next second, that's nothing to do with you. Allah doesn't need me and you to feed the orphans or me and you to solve a problem. He's just testing us with problems. Sends us hunger, sends you money. Sends us happiness, sends you sadness. It's just an app. That's all it is. A prayer time is an app. It's just going to say register when Salah prays, beginning, middle, end, or not at all. That's what it is. It's just an app. It's all a game. It's all a game, and all of it in reality is our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We interact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through people, through prayer times, through responsibilities, through opportunities. That's all we're doing. Right? So it's actually quite a useful thing to think about it. Right? That imagine right now, nobody in this room is here. So then if I'm just an AI agent, who's actually speaking to you then? If the khatib, who you know, the guy's a munafiq, the khatib, that guy that stole all the money from the masjid, but he's giving a khutbah right now, and if he's just AI, who's actually sending you the message? Who's actually talking to you? Where's the message coming? Allah, thank you very much. Right? If the person who is rude to you is not actually real and just AI, that means Allah's talking. That means your interaction is just with Allah. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ. There we go. So then, what do you have to worry about? You're talking to a boss who's just AI. He doesn't actually make any decisions, does he? He's not actually offended. He's not actually trying to offend you. It's just a game. Right? It's just a game. It's just a dunya. Right? Make sense?
Yeah.
So it's quite a useful. We're living in an eye-opening time. Right? There's many times in life it's very confusing. It's an eye-opening time. Right? So anyway, forgetfulness. It is impossible for you to be more responsible for a fact that you don't know, that is not in your head. I can't remember the ayah. What am I supposed to do? Right? You're not more responsible for knowing something that you don't know, and forgetfulness means not knowing something. Excuse me. So if you forget, you forget. Right? You're not responsible for these things. So that's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? You are not more responsible. So now let's go to the court. Okay, so Salah is standing in the middle of Baghdad, okay, in the Abbasid Empire with a sandwich board saying, "Watch me not pray." Okay, so he's standing there, and then a dhuhr comes in, and then he's like, he's just there, and everyone's watching him not praying, right? The police come along and say, "Hey, bro, go and pray," and he's like, "No." They say, "Hey, kid, go and pray." No. So now, I just see his name all the time. He's a funny guy, I think. Salah, do you identify as a funny guy?
Unfortunately, I do.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So it's okay. We're both clowns, right? Professional clowns. Okay. So he's making a point. He's making a political point, okay? Not a private point. He's making a political point. So now the police come, they take him to the court, and the court says, "Habibi, if you don't pray by Asr, if you don't pray, right, there's no way, for example, Dhuhr, there's no way the Dhuhr could ever go beyond Asr. Because you can join Dhuhr or Asr, you could, for some reasons, but there's no way that Dhuhr could voluntarily be prayed after Asr, right? So Asr comes in, and he still hasn't prayed Dhuhr or Asr. Now Maghrib comes in. And what's his excuse for not praying? Did he say that he slept through Dhuhr? No. The judge said, "Did you sleep through Dhuhr?" I say, "No." "Did you forget to pray Dhuhr?" No. Did you sleep through Asr? No. Did you forget to pray Asr? No. So he has no legal excuse, right? There's no legal excuse that he could proffer to the judge and say, this is my excuse, even if it's lying, right? So the judge says, have you prayed? He says, no. Were you asleep? No. Did you forget? No. So now it is the obligation upon the judge to say, Salah, either you pray Dhuhr now or we will execute you. So this is, when you say the valid excuses, you're talking to the judge and the court process. Did the person offer, for example, did he say that he prayed? Yes. Did he say that if he said no, did he say that he was asleep? No. Did he say that he was what is it? Forgetfulness, right? This is what we're talking about. This is the legal wiring of the process, right? Does that make sense? So one thing is literally between you and Allah, whether or not you're excused for missing that prayer, right? Are you sinful for missing that prayer or not? And the other thing is how the court works, right? So if he just says yes, and he's just lying, go scot-free. If he says, I was asleep, Your Honor, I forgot, Your Honor, let's go in. If you forget, then just pray at any time. Does that make sense?
Would they have to do it in front of the judge at that point?
No.
Okay.
He just says, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I'll go and pray right now. Done. Or he just says, I've already prayed. And they say, even if you're watching him the whole time, he sat there and he said, no, I've already prayed the Dhuhr. Because maybe he has I don't know, maybe he has an injury that doesn't allow him to move. So he had to do sujood and ruku' with his eyelids. I don't know. So the point is, we're not interested in what he actually did. We're interested in what it means politically, right? So here is a adult who stood in the middle of the, in public, was told by the court to pray, and he doesn't, right? That's a problem. Like apostasy, right? Is there such thing as freedom of religion? Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Don't believe in Islam, that's up to you. But an apostate, meaning a public apostate, that's a problem, right? You've said and done things publicly, as opposed to you don't believe in any of this stuff, and you never go to Jummah, and people ask you like, hey, why do you go to Jummah? It's like, oh, I'm sick. I'm like, okay, sure. Who's this lady that's always at your house? Oh, she's a maid. It's like, dude, we all know what you do with this lady, but it didn't become public. There was no 4 witnesses. There's no testimony, khalas, right? In this Muslim country, there is more alcohol that is sold than is bought by Christians. So surely that means other people are buying alcohol that are not Christians. But you don't break into people's houses and say who's drinking. So we have to understand a very important. The Muslim world is not a utopia and has never been a utopia. Okay, that's a very important concept, because many people think like, oh, it's messed up today because of X. It's messed up today because of Y. It's not like that. Yes, there is more of a lull now than previously, but there's always been prostitutes. There's always been bars. There's always been atheists, or munafiqeen, right? They've always existed. There's always been fitna. Go ahead. Somebody asked a question before. Go ahead, Salah.
Yeah, I guess what's the general principle or objective of requiring like very verifiable evidence or proof? Because it seems like in a lot of instances in Sharia, like even with Zina, for example, or the required witness testimony and benefit of the doubt and all that, it's like at what point, like, I guess what's the general wisdom in that? Aside from like spreading, is it like just spreading fahisha, like preventing that in public, or is it?
Okay, it's like this, right? Let's say, for example, homosexuality. Like we have homosexual poetry in our tradition. Like that's a phenomenon. Okay, so I remember my mom was in Palestine and she was like, "Whoa, these guys are interesting." Like it was a phenomenon. Like she was there in what 83, right? In Afghanistan, they have a term for basically pretty boys. There's a term for it, like boys that are used for homosexual / pedophilic activity. There's a term for it in
We call it
Farsi.
bachabazi.
Exactly, right? Yeah. We have a term for it. That means it's a social phenomenon. They have the same thing in Ottoman Turkey, right? It was called the saqi, the wine pourer, right? So it's like a young boy that's dressed up as a girl. And so it's like a phenomenon, right? Hashish is Arabic for a reason, because it's a phenomenon in the world, right? So the issue is these things are phenomenons, but they're not public phenomenons. So what the Sharia does is it manages the public. It does not manage the private domain. Is the adhan being called? Is Jummah happening? Do people publicly accept zina? Do people publicly accept homosexuality? No, these things are private things. Okay, that's fine. You're privately a kafir, that's up to you. You're privately homosexual, that's up to you. You privately commit zina, that's up to you. You privately don't pray, that's up to you. You privately have left Islam, that's up to you. The Sharia does not manage those things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's managing, for example, Amazon. Like, imagine if Amazon says, yeah, because we're, who owns Amazon? Jeff Bezos, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine if Trump says, my friend Jeff does not have to pay tax. That's a problem, right? As opposed to you look how much they actually paid, and it's like through tax avoidance, they paid no tax or something stupid like that, right? So there's a difference between publicly saying, yeah, the wealthy are above the law. That's a problem, as opposed to, oh yeah, the wealthy are above the law, but that's not publicly accepted, right? So it gets to a certain point where now that immorality becomes publicly accepted, right? This is publicly accepted. So let's think, for example, America versus Europe, right? What is it like Clinton, right? Clinton cheats on his wife. Okay, sorry, you can't be the president anymore. A French president cheats on his wife. It's like, yeah, I mean, welcome to Europe. It's like a non-issue. So can you see that it just becomes like, yeah, it's not a problem. The Khalifa, there's certain social statements, right? It's a social statement that this is accepted, right? So when it's suddenly like this is publicly accepted, you can do this now. Like you can be there with your girlfriend. Like, who is this lady? This is my girlfriend. Like, oh, that's a problem. As opposed to, who is this lady? Oh, it's my sister. I'm looking after her, right? So the Sharia does not police the individual, but it does police society and puts structures in place for that. And then a better example of that is the munafiq, right? Who is not even a Muslim, but as long as he says he's a Muslim, we accept him as a Muslim. Similarly, if you could imagine the Levant, right? You turn up in the year 100 in Syria. It's going to be majority non-Muslim. So what does the Sharia do? It says, don't walk down the street with crosses. Don't do public things of Judaism and Christianity. That's it. That's it. It does not manage what the Christian does. And doesn't even manage his religion. It just says, there's law and order. There's no riots happening. And that's all that's going on. But did Muslims play games? Meaning, did they do lots of haram things? Yes, 100%. And so that's the issue. When people go to a Muslim country today, they're in shock. They're like, oh, I thought everything was supposed to be perfect. And it's like, no, it's not like that. It's never been like that. Never been like that. Does that make sense? And that's very important to get rid of the idea of utopia, because you're like, oh, I'm bad because I'm in a bad environment. Bro, those environments could have been worse. Sometimes those environments are worse. So it's like, no, you actually have to personally, grab the bull by the horns and say, no, I am going to, it doesn't matter what is happening around me. I'm not a victim of my circumstances. I'm an adult. I need to take responsibility for everything in my life. When the fabric of society and government are intertwined with the Sharia, someone who publicly opposes Sharia then becomes exactly. When it is said to kill those who apostate from Islam, it's mentioning those who openly, exactly. So apostasy is a court case. So we all know that so-and-so is not Muslim. That's irrelevant. Like the Sahaba, they knew who were not Muslims. We all knew this person munafiq, right? But you can't do that, right? I know you're a munafiq. You can tell, but he didn't say it, right? So you can't do that. So the court judges by the outward, right? That's how it works. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So I give an example, right? So what is it? Musa lends a pencil to Salah. Okay, possession is 9/10 of the law. So the fact that it's in Salah's hand means by default it's Salah's. Okay, so now Salah so Musa takes him to court and says, I want my pencil back. So the judge says, Salah, is this yours? You say, yeah. So then Musa says, no, it's mine. So I say, Musa, where's your evidence? No, I don't have any evidence. So Musa, if you don't bring any evidence, I'm going to ask Salah to swear by Allah that it's his, and that's it. So then Salah looks at me, winks, and says, I swear by Allah that it's mine, with a grin on his face, and walks out. The guy's a liar. I know he's a liar. You know, we all know he's a liar. But that's how the court works. Because you don't have any evidence. You know, that's it. Like, you don't have any evidence, and he swore by Allah, and that's it. End of story. Takes that responsibility. There's nothing you can do about it. So you can't say, yeah, but I know he's a liar. That's not how the court works. That's how your personal life works. In your personal life, I don't want to deal with that guy. The guy's a crook. Okay, but in the court, that's not how it works. Right? It's not how it works. Okay, so then it says the conditions of the prayer are 8. Purity of the 2 impurities. So you got wudu if you need to make ghusl. If you need you made wudu if you need to make wudu. You've made ghusl if you need to make ghusl. Done. Purity of the clothing, body, and place. So clothing. So body means your your outside body. So if you look at someone's ear, right? Somebody inserts a piece of pork inside their ear. Tiny little piece of pork inside their ear. Somebody swallows some pork. That's inside them now. Okay? So that doesn't affect their prayer. Now, if you swallow pork, you have to throw it up, right? If you drank wine, you have to throw it up. But that's talking about something else. That's in terms of what you are obliged to do. In terms of the prayer, you have pork inside you. You have pork inside your ear, right? That's not visible. You turn your ear to somebody, nobody could see it. Then it's not considered your body. It's because it's inside. Your private parts, right? So inside of your mouth. So inside of your mouth, that has to be clean. But past the ha, when you go past the ha, you're now inside. So that doesn't matter. Anything that's beyond that is considered inside. So that's your body. Place of prayer is what your hands are touching, your head is touching, your knees are touching, your feet are touching, what your clothes are touching. Otherwise, there's a dead pig to your right, a vomit to your left. It doesn't matter, right? That doesn't affect the validity of the prayer. And then clothing, meaning your clothes are pure. The baby sitting on your lap is pure. So the baby needs to be changed, and you know he needs to be changed. So the baby sits on your lap, prayer is broken. The cat that's got something attached to its tail sits on your lap, the prayer is broken. The puppy sits on your lap, prayer is broken. Puppy is filthy, right? Your piglet, right? Your pet piglet sits on your lap, right? Your pet wild boar, okay, sits on your lap. It breaks the prayer. What else? You're holding a dog's leash. So you're holding the dog's leash, you're connected to the dog. That makes it, means you are you're holding filth, as opposed to you're standing on the dog's leash, right? You put the dog's leash on the floor and you're standing on it, right? You're not supporting filth now. Nor are you stepping on filth. So the leash is not filthy, nor are you supporting filth, right? The prayer mat has filth on it, and you're standing on top of the prayer mat, not touching the filth. That's fine. you put your foot underneath the prayer mat, you're now supporting filth. So your prayer is going to be broken. Does that make sense, inshallah? Shayam? Musa? Hiddin?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay. So then covering your aura. Covering your aura means, go ahead, Muhammad.
I had a question. If because like for example yesterday, because I know cat hair is najis in our madhab, so I was praying Isha after brushing my cat, and mid prayer I realized there was cat hair on my hand, like it was like a big like swab. Like, does that invalidate the prayer?
A big tuft, yeah. A big tuft of cat hair would invalidate the prayer, yeah.
Okay, because I just
But a
made
small
sure
hair is
that.
like it's normal, right? Like you live in a house with this guy, like you will be able to like if you get a dog, right? I get a trained dog, the dog comes up to you and smells you, it will know which cat is in your house. It comes find the cat that was in your house. It's in the traces of the cat are there, right?
Mhm.
But so there's a few cat hairs here and there, it's fine. It's always going to be there. But if it's a big like tuft, right? Like a big tuft of cat hair, then yeah, it's gonna be a problem.
I
Go
just
ahead.
kept praying and made sure my salah was valid according to the Hanafis, but I'm
Yeah.
maybe
So
I'm
also
not.
there's a strong position in our school as well. So the issue, the logic is that we treat hair as if it was alive, and it's analogous to like cutting a piece off an animal, right? So imagine if you like cut the leg of a sheep, you amputated the leg of a sheep. That would be
Mhm.
najis, right? So that's how we see it. It's like a cat paw. Like you had a cat paw, you had to amputate your cat's paw because of an infection, and then you had that on you while praying. It's najis. That's how we see it. So there's a strong position in our school. It's either khilaf al-asah or khilaf al-adhar. That a strong position in our school is that it's pure. It's not a weak position, right? And
Mhm.
Ibn Mundhir adopted that position, Suyuti as well. Others. It's not. And the majority. That's three of them are there here. It's not a big deal. And then in the school itself, it's not a big deal. Like the relied upon position is like, again, I probably shared with you before, like I've had cats my whole Shafi life, right? I've had cats, I've had cats
Yeah.
since I was whatever, right? Once that happened to me, once, where I went into ruku' and I see the big tuft of cat hair. Otherwise, like a little bit's excused, and that's it.
Okay,
It's not,
makes
it's not an
sense.
issue, right? And the asl is that it's recommended to have cats. Why is it recommended to have cats? Is because they kill mice, and it's recommended to kill mice. So you're doing something that achieves a goal like that. Wallahu alam. So having like bourgeois cats like mine. I have like 5 British short hairs, like my wife's in reality. That was kind of like that's different. But like, the general like having practical cats, like you have a barn and you have cats, something good, right? It's something good, right? I'm a very pro cat person.
Can I just ask? The cat is not najas in itself, is it?
So is this Salahuddin speaking now?
No, Zia, sorry.
Who?
Zia.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Can I just answer Salahuddin first?
Yes,
And
sorry.
then,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry.
Yeah,
I
go ahead,
forgot to.
Salahuddin.
Okay.
Can you repeat when you said that anything past like the ha is like then inside the body is not accounted for?
So you said that once it goes past the point of the throat where you say ha, that's now internal. Okay?
Mhm.
So that doesn't matter now. So somebody, for example, may Allah forgive us, let's say, for example, you took some cough medicine, okay? And then you rinse your mouth. And then somebody says, hey, cough medicine has alcohol in it. Oh, I didn't know that. Does it affect your prayer? No, it doesn't affect your prayer. Because it's inside you, it doesn't matter. Or if you ate haram meat or something like that, it doesn't matter. What's inside you does not affect the prayer. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yep. Thank you.
Right. However, that doesn't make it halal. Right. So somebody drank some alcohol and then they prayed. What do they have to do before they pray? They have to rinse their mouth. Okay, but aren't they obliged to throw up the alcohol? Yes, they're obliged to throw that alcohol up. They're supposed to like throw up.
Got it. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, but that's two separate points. Yeah. Go ahead, Zia.
So my question was, I have a cat. So when I'm praying, the cat comes and sits on the musalla, and
What is your cat's name?
it's called Danny.
It's called what?
Danny.
Danny.
Yeah.
Okay, Danny, the champion of the world. Yeah, go ahead.
So she comes and sits on the musalla where I'm going to do sujood. So is it all right for me to pray? And if I just push it out of the way with my hand, while making sajda,
Yeah,
is
so
that all
so
right?
that so the technical issue with the cat really is not the cat hair. The issue is they don't clean themselves,
Mhm.
right? So if you see what cats do, cats are very clean, right? But in reality, they're cleaning themselves in their own way. I don't want to describe it, but they clean themselves in their own way, right?
Yeah.
So technically speaking, then if you pick that cat up, it's not clean,
Mhm.
right? So in the Hanafi school, so the way that we remove najasa in the Shafi school is a ritual, like we have to use water. For the Hanafis, they say clean is clean, basically, like it's not a ritual. So for the Hanafis, for example, you could remove filth with saliva. So that's how a cat removes filth, with saliva. They clean themselves all the time, right? They're cleaning the whole body. That's why they don't smell like a dog doesn't clean itself, right? That's why it stinks.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't actually like groom itself, right? Whereas a cat is continually grooming itself, right? So that would mean like in the Hanafi school, if you just picked up a cat, it's fine. Like I'm carrying a kitten, it's always clean. In the Shafi school, like things have come outside of that cat, and the cat does not do istinja, like the cat does not clean itself, you know.
Mm.
So that would be the issue. The cat is sitting on your lap while you're praying, or you're picking it up, right? As opposed to you, for example, touching the back of the cat, like let's imagine, for example, a toddler. Let's go away from the cat. There's a toddler a baby that needs to be changed. Like I know it needs to be changed. So I pick the baby up. That's going to break my prayer, right? I touch I put my hand on the baby's shoulder. That does not break the prayer. I'm not supporting filth. But if I move the cat, if I push the child to the side, let's say the child is lying in my place of sujood, and the child that has a nappy that needs to be changed, and I push it to the side, so actually it's kind of leaning on me, and I'm supporting it, then that will break the prayer, right? So depends on how hardcore Shafi you want to be.
Okay.
Allah Alam. Does that make sense, Azia?
Thank you.
Yeah. Muhammad Kazmi?
So the opinion that you mentioned before that you said is also strong in our madhab, was that related just specifically to the cat hair, or is it also related to what you
The
just
idea
described
that
right now?
so it would apply to a donkey as well. It would apply to, so like for example, a donkey isn't, so the issue in the Shafi school is hair of inedible animals. When it comes off those inedible animals becomes najas. Okay, so cat hair, wolf hair, tiger hair, bear hair, donkey hair. So you can't eat a donkey, right? So you're riding a donkey and your legs are rubbing against its side the whole time. And you come off and you're like, dude, I have all this donkey hair on me. So we say on the relied upon position in Shafi school, we say the donkey hair is analogous to dead donkeys. That's how we do it, right? So that's considered najas. So they say somebody who rides a donkey, a lot of hair is excused for them because it's very difficult to avoid. But the point is, we do label it as najas. The other position says hair is not alive; it didn't die, so it is not analogous to a dead donkey because it simply is not dead to begin with. And that's the logic of the other three madahib. They say the hair is not alive. When you cut it, it doesn't hurt. It's not the same thing, It's not alive. So therefore, it doesn't die. Therefore, you can't label it as najas. So therefore, there's no issue of donkey hair or cat hair or any hair. It's not najas to begin with.
What I was asking about was like how you mentioned that we don't view the cat like its self-cleaning process as sufficient,
Yes.
but
So
the
that's the
Hanafis
position
do.
of
So I'm
the
saying,
non-Hanafis. The Hanafis, they have a certain way of looking at removing filth. Like, for example, let's say you had like urine on something. They could use, for example, like a detergent, like some kind of spray or some kind of like, um, to kill something. We have to use water. Like you can use whatever detergent you want, but ultimately you have to use water to remove filth. For them, they can use anything. Use vinegar, I don't know, glass cleaner. Imagine there was like blood on a window and you cleaned it with glass cleaner. For us, that wouldn't count. It's still najas. Or on the tiles, you just mop the floor with some kind of detergent. You didn't use any water. That wouldn't clean it for us. For them, it's fine.
Oh, and it's only the Hanafis that have this opinion,
Only
right?
the Hanafis, yeah. You're
Okay.
either a Hanafi or wannabe. That's it. Okay, go ahead, Salah.
I kind of have like a follow-up question to what you were talking about. So if
Bismillah.
somebody were to like hunt a
So
wolf.
Salahuddin, you're joining from Australia?
No, I'm from London.
You're from London. Okay, I was like confused.
No, you get. It's like for example, if you hunt
It's
like a wolf.
what time is it? It's like 4 a.m. right now?
No, I live in Iowa. So my mom is from London, so I go back and forth quite often in the
Oh, I
summer.
see. In Iowa. Okay. Your accent is confusing, that's why. Like my accent's probably getting confusing now.
No, yeah, I have a bit of a blend. So you hear like my American accent come out,
Yeah.
and then my British.
Okay, go ahead.
So like, if you like hunt a wolf and then you skin the wolf and use the fur as like a rug, you would not be allowed to prey on that because the fur at that point is najis.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
But you would get married like the next day because you'd be like the manest man around. Like that guy's cool. He hunted a wolf. You're like, lady, I just hunted a wolf and here's the skin for you. You better marry me. She's like, okay, finally a real man. Yeah. So good marriage proposal, right? But not gonna work.
Jazakallah khair.
Barakallahu feek. This is Zia. Oh, where's Salah? Zia, can we get a picture of your cat? Of Danny?
Yes, I'll look one up for you,
Inshallah.
inshallah.
We'll start a WhatsApp group just for the Sheikh Farid Dingle Cat Association. There's a serious problem, right? I mean, I have cats, right? I mean, we have cats. There is a serious problem, you know, you see this in California, like people, you know, with the push chair. Have you seen this, right? In America, I don't know if you have them, like, it's a California thing. You know, you see somebody with a baby, right? And then you realize it's not a baby. It's like a cat or like a dog, right? It's like, so like spending money and time on animals when there's all these kids in the world that need help is a serious problem, right? So, you know, jokes aside, like, you know, animals are important, but not as important. Right? Starting with Masha, Musa's doing it, right? It's not as important as, you know,
It's super concerning, actually. The like on TikTok, I see it all the time. People like revering dogs, and it's like the devaluing of human life in general, like
it is.
genocide
And also,
and AI and
just
all
like
this.
the AI girlfriend, it's like, do you know why? Because the investment is very easy. To invest in a dog, the dog's not going to break your heart.
Right.
The dog's not going to let you down. It's not complex, right? It's just like the AI girlfriend. Like she's always going to make you happy, you know? It's just like, you know, the cat actually would eat your dead body. The cat doesn't actually love you. That's the problem. The dog does. Like the dog would die for you, right? It's quite nice to have that. Like I know I had a friend like that. He had, you know, his girlfriend had all of his everything in the house in her name, and she kicked him out. And he lived in a tractor with a dog. Like he basically like came back to life through a dog, you know, like because it's a very rewarding relationship. Like it's not complex. But that's the problem. It's like you can't actually function in a real relationship because you're only used to cheap relationships where it's just you give and you get. Whereas in a real relationship, you might give and you get in another way, and you're like, this is too hard, right? It's like this is called living life as a human being, right? Your kids will break your heart. They will say things to you like, man, right? Like what did I do to you, right? Your wife will break your heart. Your husband will break your heart. Yeah, this is life, right? And it's like you need to actually get involved in meaningful and deep and expensive emotional investments as opposed to Allah, right? It's tough. How did this happen? I did this for Allah. Why didn't He look after me? It's complex as opposed to the dog. It's easy. So it's just indicative of people doing cheap, shallow relationships, right? Like the dog's not going to tell you the truth about your alcoholism, right? It's not going to tell the truth about your selfishness, you know, or whatever it is. It's not gonna. It's just a cheap relationship. It's like it's like prostitution. It's a cheap relationship. You didn't invest, so it's like it's indicative of how cheap people are, and they don't like emotionally, and how they lack humanity. May Allah protect us. Okay, let's finish up, guys. I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent. Okay, more cats here. There we go. Fantastic. Okay. Anyway, so you're covering your aura then, covering your aura, which is for a man, navel to knee, right? So a man has a towel, it's covering his belly button all the way around, it's covering down to his knees, but not necessarily his knees, right? Covering right? As long as you cover everything between the belly button and the knees, then your awrah is covered. That is in terms of awrah in prayer and in terms of awrah in the street, right? As long as that's culturally normal and as long as it's not going to result in any fitna, a man can walk down the street in a sarong, it's totally fine. In a lungi, it's just fine. You're in California, you walk down the street in a towel, why not? Everything, SF, like whatever. Yeah, it's important, yeah. Right? So if it's not a fitna and it's culturally normal, that's totally fine. For a woman, her awrah is everything apart from the face and hands, meaning she has to cover up to her wrists and make sure that her sleeve do not come down her wrists. And with her face, she has to make sure that the hijab is at her chin bone, right? At her chin bone. Now, some modern Hanafis, they say keeping the hijab on the chin bone is difficult. And it's widespread difficulty enough that it's overlooked. So some modern Hanafis, they'll say that. That means in the street, not just in the prayer. She's walking down the street and the hijab is, for example, covering all of her face and exposing the tiniest part under her chin bone, that's halal because it's difficult to make sure that the shape of the hijab, the shape of the cloth is difficult to make sure that it goes on the chin bone. But the Shafi'is, we say no, it has to be on the chin bone, right? The hijab is covering from the normal hairline, right? And and all the way down the chin bone, so nothing beyond the chin bone is exposed, right? And then in the Shafi'i school, you cannot expose your feet. So she either has long trousers on, long dress on, or she has socks. That's in terms of her awrah in the prayer. And inshallah, next week we'll talk about the awrah in front of other people. Inshallah, if somebody reminds me, that's what we have to talk about next week. Okay, any questions or queries?
So does the shoulder have to be covered during prayer?
It is makruh to have your shoulder exposed.
Okay.
Yeah, so you should, for example, at least something like one hadith mentions, at least with a rope, right?
The one or both, or doesn't matter?
Yeah, just basically one thing, something covering it, right? You have to have a lungi on, something over your shoulder. That's it, right? So that's where is it?